Good evening and welcome to the Village of Riverside Board of Trustees regular meeting of Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Stenzel, please call the roll.
Trustee Marshowska? Here. Trustee Gallegos?
Here.
Trustee Koss? Here. Trustee Evans? Here. Trustee Mateo? Here. Trustee Fitzgerald? Here. President Pollock?
Here.
Manager Francis? Here. Attorney Pickrell? Here. Also present, Clerk Stenzel. Good timing.
Under President's Report, we have a privilege of having Cook County Commissioner George Cardenas with us to present information regarding the triennial reassessment in Riverside. Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, President and honorable members and trustees of Riverside. You may wonder why is the commissioner all of a sudden? This never happened before, I'm sure. And it's a new precedent because I thought was timely. We've been doing a lot of data analysis on the assessments since I got to office. But more, I would say, in 2025, very heavy because we had a team and we had the data, and we found a way to kind of extract and analyze things that we thought were important and fundamentally, to me, to the question of fairness in Cook County. So we're going to talk today about data, the assessment process, and what you will be receiving, what you have received in the mail. The assessments came out, and you're not going to be pleased. So we'll explain the property taxes really as a whole, kind of a brief, really quick overview. Most times we do it at the outreach events, but here I think just for context, it's kind of a quick refresher, if you will. And then really I want to differentiate between all of the appeals process, or the appeals where people get to. There's a appeal process at the assessor, and then there's at the board of review, and then there's also another agency called PTAB, or Property Tax Appeal Board. And then, of course, you have the courts as a final, as last resort. And I like to tell people that really the best place to file your appeal is with the board of review. Now, I'm biased, of course, but really it's because that's our function. We are funded to handle appeals. We are handled to do a one-on-one, to take the data, to take the time, to sit down with people, explain really what the differences that they may see, explain the tax bill, and then really let's go to the next process, which is the adjudication of the appeal and the results of that appeal. Thank you. What you see in Riverside, of course, is new higher taxable values. This is your reassessment, or the triennial. The appeal process, it's very short. It's 30 days. That's by statute. That's not something that the board has any way to change it or extend it. Once it ends, and you don't get to appeal until the following year. So like I said, after you appeal with the assessor, then you may go to the appeal to the board of review when we open up. So they close, they hand the data to the board of review and say, look, we have finalized our appeal period with property owners, and now here's the data for you to review our work, because we review the work of the assessor. And that process comes to us, and then we start opening up townships. And I think you will be one of the first ones to open up, to look at the appeals and what is showing you, and they have a one-on-one discussion. And I brought my manager of outreach, Arturo. You may know him, and maybe take a minute or so to say what's coming up once he takes over in a couple of months. Next. Well, here it is. So this is Riverside. Still, year by year, the single family keeps obviously going up, the market value. The condo, in fact, has come down a little bit with that, and that's probably more of market conditions as the condo market has been impacted, maybe due to HOA type of fees, increase of that. And then what we see now is definitely a lot of pressure in value or in market value in the multifamily, where investors are buying up these assets because of return on investment and so forth. So they're buying up and bidding up these values, and this is what you see in that increase in multifamily type of properties. So, as we said, the assessor it's right now this is the time that you, I believe, what is the last day? June 8th. So June 8th is the last day you get to appeal with the assessor. Now, again, the assessor has to do that by statute, but I don't think anything changes with that because the assessments were just done, and the process for them is very quick. They need to turn over documents to us and the data. So there's really not a lot of time to delve into the appeal on a one-on-one basis like you would do at the board of review. It comes to us, and of course, if you're not happy with the decision that we deliver to you, then you may appeal to the Property Tax Appeal Board or Circuit Court. That's kind of the next step. A lot of people, once you get to that stage, will probably use an attorney. It is a process that is complicated and convoluted at times, especially if you have an asset that is high value. Many people will tend to use an attorney. You don't have to, especially if it's not an LLC. If it is an LLC, then you have to use an attorney. Again, it's by law. The statute requires an attorney be handling that appeal before the board review. So the formula is actually very simple. It says value times the state equalizer equal your tax rate. Now you notice your tax rate actually went down from 2024 to now 2026. Maya, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it went down about 1.5 points or so. And that's probably a function of the two pieces there that are somehow trying to, have a kind of a normalized value when counties get to reassess. Property taxes, schools are important, is really what funds property taxes, mostly the schools. And then whatever is left, we kind of divide it up for a county to kind of pay for services. And then really, really is not a lot. The 16% goes to village and public safety. And this is sometimes why budgets are so tight, because there isn't a lot left over to handle the day-to-day things. As life gets complicated for municipalities like yours, when you're growing and you have safety issues, you have to sort of navigate what to do on that end and whether to raise the levy or not. Now, this is the property page, Cook County Property Info. If you are not familiar, or someone may want to know this, this is where you get to know your neighbors. If you want to Google your neighbors, sometimes we're curious as to what exactly is my neighbor paying versus me. We get that a lot. Perfectly okay. This is where you go and check it out. And also you can use your comparables. These are comparables that we can use. If you see something, an anomaly that cries out to say, wait a second, why is this property, I have the same square footage, I think I have the same type of house, maybe with a couple of add-ons that are different, and why am I paying 20% more than my neighbor? And this is where you can use that information to then present to us to say, I want my property to be uniform across the board in that block. And maybe there are other properties in that block that are also in the same situation as you are, so we get to correct that for that year. And you got to keep appealing every year because it resets, and the assessment process, it goes a little haywire because of other issues, whether it's data, whether it's characteristics, whether it's omitted property that may be happening, And it is complex. This is why we're here, and we want to be helpful to you navigating that to get it right. We are working to right the system, but it is going to take a little time to get everybody on the same page. I am committed to doing just that, to adding my knowledge of numbers and what I found and what I'm finding to make sure that when I go before the other property tax stakeholders, I offer my evidence, and then we can again negotiate what changes must happen to make it right and to make the right decisions for the taxpayers. I believe in open, kind of an open door policy. That phone number goes directly to one of my staffers who sits literally across the way from me, not even maybe a couple of feet. And I also provide my email that I get directly when someone really wants to find me. They get to email me, and I promptly respond to them and assign the case to one of the analysts so they can then get the help that they need immediately without going through a bunch of hoops and calling the clerk, and then the clerk hands it off to somebody and says, oh yeah, somebody was supposed to call looking for Commissioner Cardenas, and then they go and hand it off to one of the analysts and says, I don't know, it never gets to the place where it should be. Well, I don't believe in that. I think that we ought to have straight lines of communication to the very representatives that handle the cases for us. Now, these are the websites, cookcountyboarderreview.com. I'm one of three. You got the countypropertyinfo.com, and you got the assessor.com and the countytreasurer.com to find all the information about your property taxes and your neighbor's property taxes, if that's what you decide to do. That is my presentation. But the main thing I wanted to deliver to you guys is the core function of the Board of Review, and think of it as an extension of you guys and the services you provide to your constituents, not navigating really all the different offices. I know that every municipality sometimes has an assessor and has people that directly deal with those nuances and paperwork. But if there's anything pending, if there's error that was committed, that is pending, and the people need answers, our office handles that very well because we're set up to do that. Okay? You may want to say, you have anything for the outreach?
Yeah.
If you have any questions, do you have any questions first? Any questions at all?
Any questions for Commissioner?
Well, thank you again for. Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess I can.
Yes,
When you talk about our constituents as village board members, for Riverside, we have 2 different townships within the village, or the village is within 2 different townships, both Lyons
I saw that
and-
in the, I saw that. So is it Lyons also?
Yeah, both Lyons and
Okay.
Riverside. And can you briefly touch upon why the land values in the 2 different townships are assessed so vastly differently when sometimes the properties are immediately adjacent to each other, like right next door?
Do you want to handle it?
Sure.
I mean, I just, neighbors ask.
Meyer Blank is my data analytics expert. He's the one that handles a lot of the deep analysis on it. And let's give him
So the maps were done decades ago.
Can you speak closer to this podium?
Oh, sorry. So the maps, the township maps and the assessment maps were done decades ago. So they're each township, and then you have these neighborhood codes within the township, and it depends how the neighborhood code is drawn. So the neighborhood codes don't change and haven't changed in decades. And we've been talking about that as like, let's update these with the assessor to make it uniform so that like properties are taxed the same way. And it's what the similar properties, like a single-family home or a multifamily home, those are all compared within those neighborhood codes, and that's where you have anomalies, because the neighborhood codes aren't changing to pick up the changes in the housing stock.
And it's actually poignant because part of our discussion this week as we prepare to come before you, it's the fact that I wanted that data at that level, at the neighborhood level, because I think you're correct. you want to know exactly why that assessment is different than my assessment, even though we're right next to one another. And it is based on the analytics part of it. We just don't have access to that yet. We need to create the query, and this is our IT team, and so they need to get up also on with new ways of analyzing things. And so again, this is all work that is demanding, but we need answers at that level. Usually we don't even touch that because we're like, oh, leave it alone, it's too much work. No, because that's where things are happening. That's where you should be knowing. You should be letting other folks know and say, listen, there's changes that are happening here, even though next door, they may say, well, I'm moving to Lyons, because it's cheaper there. These are things that we should be able to know and give you that information. So we're going to work on that. We're going to come down at that neighborhood level. We can do it in the city, but we can't do it in some of the townships. But you're right. We talked about that. It's something that we need to get to that information. Good question.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question. I received your newsletter and was
Hi, Jill.
curious to learn, good to see you again, curious to learn about neighborhood codes and the differences even within Riverside Township. So what do we tell Riverside residents about, not necessarily, maybe the history of those differences, but the future that you're talking about? Does the appeals process take those differences into account? If neighborhood 14 is different from neighborhood 50, I mean, what can a taxpayer do?
I think as I prepare my team, and this was different from the past, again, when I first got there, I needed to understand, okay, what is it that you do? Okay, now I know you do appeals. So I sat there. First, I had a huge office, by the way. I have a huge office. I said, well, that's wonderful. So what am I supposed to do here? I said, well, there's a big chair. It's got 2 computers, huge conference table, and then nothing. It's all quiet. I said, so what is it that what prompts you? How do you know you're doing the right appeal and right adjudication of the appeals? What data drives that? Well, I go to the screen and I see the appeal and I make a decision. I said, okay, but that's not, I wouldn't want you to do that without having some knowledge of where to go. My point to you is, yeah, there's a lot of things that we gotta get to and get the information and then teach our analysts, and we are teaching them to make those type of decisions so that when they see something like that, let's say we're saying Riverside, we want to pay attention to Riverside, and we want to pay attention to Riverside, so we want to let the analyst and educate the analyst that this is a township we're putting a lot of attention on, and I want them to be educated on those differences. This area here, whatever the east or west, changed dramatically 20% or 22%. So let's see if all the values are the same across the board. If not, we're going to bring those values down according to whatever house is similar or very similar, which is what uniformity really should be looking like. So when values jump because someone did an improvement on that house, or someone bought it, or for whatever reason, sometimes people move in. I love this neighborhood, by the way. I would love to live here. So if a house went up for sale, I probably would bid higher just to be here. So it pushes prices up. Is that normal? No. Probably the values are much in the middle. So we need to come and bring those values down across the board instead of chasing the higher number, if you know what I'm saying. That's what you call chasing high sales, when these sales come up and then the assessor will take blanket approach to valuing everybody the same way. This is why we have to normalize that. Please.
So let me take a different swing at what you're saying and following up on what he's saying. What the neighborhood codes is give you the guardrails. So I'm going to combine both questions. What it's telling you is what homes to compare your home to. And we do it by dollars per square foot. So you go to the neighborhood code, you go to the similar type of home, like a 278 is a large home, and you see the dollars per square foot. You can't jump neighborhood codes. So you can't compare one neighborhood to another neighborhood. When you come into appeal to us, we're going to look at that neighborhood code and similar homes within that code. So if you're paying a significantly higher dollar per square foot of the other same type of homes in that neighborhood, that's where you have an appeal.
And that's where we bring the values to that level. So these are little nuances that we are sharing with you, so that as we kind of go through this exercise, we get deeper into it, and then it's all about accountability. We got to come back to you again with results of the adjudicated process and what happened after it went up 22%, and then after the appeal session happened, did we lower that? Did we bring that down to 18% or even lower than that? That the adjudicating process really did anything different. And so when we put our lens on it, something should be able to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, President. Thank you. Quickly, in outreach,
If
no?
there's time, I'll keep it under a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Arturo Romo. I'm the manager of outreach for Commissioner Cardenas. So when the time comes that your township is open with the Board of Review, I will be coming around to reach out to your assessor here, Mary Jo, and set up some outreaches. We can do one or a couple. Basically, that would involve me coming by to give a similar presentation to what the commissioners just went through. I would also be coming with a team of 4 to 5 analysts that are actually the decision makers of all of these appeals to help you folks and your residents file an appeal, but more importantly, understand the process, understand how assessed values work, and our office's relationship with the assessor's office. And because that's one of the main things that I'm seeing. A lot of folks out there that want to learn about property taxes are confused because there's a lot of different players. You know, you have the treasurer, you have the county assessor, you have a township assessor, then you have the Board of Review. So I look forward to coming here probably early to midsummer based off of the last year's schedule, and hopefully meeting some more of your residents and hopefully getting some of those values down for them. I'm going to stick around for the rest of the meeting. I have business cards for myself and the commissioner. If anybody wants one or wants to follow up with a question now or after, I am available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a motion to confirm the reappointment of village board and commission members. We have reappointments this evening of the following commissioners. Larry Forsberg, Chair, Economic Development Commission. Sarah Burcheri, Economic Development Commission. Paul McNerland, Economic Development Commission. Greg Brylet, Ethics Commission. Susan Connor, Ethics Commission. Connie Guardi, Historical Commission. Kathy Maloney, Historical Commission. James Petrozilka, Historical Commission. Beverly McClellan, Landscape Advisory Commission. Colleen Incadala, Parks and Recreation Board. Jonathan Kirk, Planning and Zoning Commission. Sandra Kaplan, Preservation Commission. Michael Leary, Preservation Commission. Karina Tiesman, Riverside TV Commission. Jessica Francis, Riverside Police Pension Board. Could I have a motion and a second to approve those appointments?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk Stenzel?
Trustee Marshaka? Aye. Trustee Galagos?
Aye.
Trustee Koss?
Aye.
Trustee Evans? Aye. Trustee Mateo?
Aye.
Trustee Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is approved and the reappointments are approved. And thank you to all those volunteers who are continuing their service on our various boards and commissions. Next, a similar vein, we have a motion to appoint Tyler Schaefer to the Landscape Advisory Commission, term to expire on 2029. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Clerk Stenzel?
Trustee Marshaska? Aye. Trustee Galagos?
Aye.
Trustee Koss?
Aye.
Trustee Evans? Aye. Trustee Mateo?
Aye.
Trustee Fitzgerald?
Motion approved, and I believe Tyler is here. If you'll step to the podium, Clerk Stenzel will affirm your appointment.
Alrighty, so you're going to repeat after me and raise your right hand. I, Tyler Schaefer, do solemnly swear
I, Tyler Schaefer, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the Office of Landscape Advisory Commissioner
of the Office of Landscape Advisory Commissioner
for the Village of Riverside, Illinois,
for the Village of Riverside, Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm actually going to have you sign. Right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Upcoming meetings include May 27th, Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting, 27 Riverside Road, Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. June 1st, Preservation Commission rescheduled regular meeting, Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. June 1st, Riverside TV Commission regular meeting, Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. And our next meeting of the Village Board of Trustees is June 4th, 2 weeks from tonight, at the Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. It's the springtime going into summer, so we have lots of upcoming events going on in Riverside. The Parks and Recreation Department is partnering with Riverside Little League to host a home run derby, followed by a movie in the park on June 6th at Big Ballpark. The derby will take place from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., and the movie will begin at dusk. We will be showing Angels in the Outfield, and this is a free event. The movie, not the home run you have to qualify for, I imagine. But before you go to the movie on June 6th, you can attend the Parks and Recreation Department for Creature Feature, Family Reptile Show at the Scout Cabin from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. There is a fee for this event, and registration is required. Again, that's June 6th, 10:30 a.m., Creature Feature Family Reptile Show at the Scout Cabin. The first concert in our summer concert series will be June 12th with the Whiskey Misfits playing Southern Rock at Big Ballpark from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission is free, and big thank you to our concert series sponsors, Burke Engineering, Flood Brothers, Starbuds, and Riverside Bank. The village and myself would like to thank everyone who attended the Public Safety Open House held on Tuesday, May 19th at Fire Station 1. This event was well attended and provided the community with the first opportunity to provide feedback on the preliminary plans for a new public safety facility. The village has been working with Williams Architects to develop plans for an optimally performing community space and modern public safety facility. Representatives from Williams Architects provided a presentation outlining proposed designs and project information. This was followed up by a community Q&A session with residents. Residents that were unable to attend may view Riverside TV's recording of the open house presentation, including the proposed design and project information. You can stream the video on the village's YouTube channel or view the recording on our local cable channel. Additionally, there will be opportunities to sign up for guided tours of the current public safety facilities. The sign-up will be available early next week on the village website. Space for tours is limited, so residents are encouraged to register early. If you are unable to attend one of the June dates, additional tour opportunities will also be provided in July, August, and September. In regards to the open house, we did get some really good feedback, which I really appreciate it. I was asked a few questions that helped frame how we approach this in working with the public to educate about the potential referendum in public safety facilities. So I encourage residents to give us that feedback. We want to know what your concerns are, and we want the opportunity to address those concerns. Also, I highly encourage people to sign up for the tour facilities. It's a bit ironic, I guess, that we have to limit the number of people who attend because our facilities are very small and tight. But we will have plenty of opportunities, so if you're late signing up for one, go to the next, and if you miss June, wait for the July dates to come out. And current June tour dates include Thursday, June 4th and Thursday, June 18th at 4:30 p.m., and Saturday, June 6th and Saturday, June 13th at 10 a.m. And sign up will be on the website Monday?
Early next week.
Early next week.
We'll send out an e-flash.
And there will be, yes, postings about that, so. That concludes my president's report. Are there any trustee reports this evening? Trustee Gallegos.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Monday will be Memorial Day, and the American Legion will have their annual Memorial Day presentation at St. Mary's at 10 o'clock in the morning. All of the public is welcome to join. And at 1 o'clock, we'll have the flag wreath ceremony at the Gold Star Memorial site in Guthrie Park. Again, that's all open to the public as well.
And what were those times again?
10 o'clock at St. Mary's, 1 o'clock at the Gold Star Memorial site.
Right, thank you. That's Monday on Memorial Day. Any other trustee reports?
I'd like to provide an update on Global Big Day, which was May 9th. I'll keep this very brief. It was a phenomenal success. We had 35, so as a recap, a reminder, Global Big Day is an international day for both celebrating and documenting bird species everywhere. And so this was our second annual bird walk sponsored by the village. We had 35 to 40 people join us, which was a record turnout. It was great, except it made it hard to see the birds on narrow trails, but we'll reconfigure for next year. But it was a great success. We saw 42 different species. A lot of families came to the Scout Cabin for bird-related activities, such as arts and crafts. Brookfield Zoo was there, Landscape Advisory Commission, Olmsted Society, Birds and Talons. We had some raptors there, live raptors for everybody to look at. So it was a wonderful day, beautiful weather, and if you couldn't join us this year, hopefully you'll join us next year. So thank you. And thanks to Parks and Rec and Riverside TV for their help with the day.
Thank you, Trustee Mateo. Any other trustee reports? Manager's report.
Thank you. I have a couple of items for this evening. With warmer weather arriving and school ending for summer, we encourage everyone to remain alert and follow all traffic laws, whether driving, biking, walking, or jogging throughout our community. The village has recently observed unsafe behavior near railroad crossings and would like to remind the community that vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians must obey all railroad crossing signals and laws. No one should attempt to cross the tracks when the gates are down or when the lights and bells are activated. We want everyone to enjoy Riverside and the beautiful weather safely. Please slow down, stay alert, and look out for one another. The next item is the village would like to remind and encourage residents to take advantage of the AquaHawk customer portal, which went live a few months ago. AquaHawk is an online water usage monitoring tool that allows residents to track their household water consumption, identify unusual usage patterns, and receive alerts that may help detect leaks or excessive water use. This service can be especially helpful during the warmer summer months when outdoor water usage often increases. Residents can sign up online or contact the finance department for assistance. The finance department will also be hosting an after-hours workshop to assist residents with setting up their accounts and answering questions regarding the system. The date and time for the workshop will be announced soon through the village website and social media. The village has also launched a short community survey to gather feedback regarding preferences on waste hauling services. The village's contract with Flood Brothers is set to expire in May of next year, and we are seeking resident feedback and opinions regarding the quality and preferences of waste hauling services. We welcome all perspectives, both positive and constructive, and they will provide valuable insight to help us enhance our service to the community. The next item is, as we enter the busy building season, residents and contractors can schedule building inspections through the permit portal online, the building inspections webpage, or by contacting the Community Development Department directly. Scheduling options are listed on the village website. We're trying to make it as extremely accessible as possible for residents to schedule or submit permits when they are able. And also their contractors can do the same. There's a road closure that will begin early next week. Beginning Tuesday, May 26th, the village's contractor will start installing new storm sewer lines along East Quincy Street between South Herbert Road and South Cowley Road Due to the location of the new sewer installation, portions of East Quincy Street will be closed to through traffic during work hours from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. A detour route will be posted directing traffic to utilize East Burlington Road between Cowley Road and Delaplane Road. This phase of the construction project is expected to last approximately 2 weeks. And finally, in observance of Memorial Day, village offices are closed on Monday, May 25th. Regular office hours will resume on Tuesday, May 26th. This is a holiday that impacts refuse pickup. Refuse will be delayed by a day and will be picked up on Friday, May 29th. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comments on non-agenda items. If anyone would like to address the village board on a village matter that is not on the agenda, now is the opportunity to do so. Thank you. Consent agenda. Clerk Stenzel, please read the consent agenda.
Approve voucher list of bills, May 21st, 2026. Approve Village Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes, May 7th, 2026. Approve Village Board of Trustees closed session meeting minutes, May 7th, 2026. Review and file Board and Commission minutes. Economic Development Commission regular meeting minutes, March 11th, 2026. Landscape Advisory Commission regular meeting minutes, April 14th, 2026. Historical Commission regular meeting minutes, April 20th, 2026. Review and file department reports. Public Works, April 2026. Community Development, April 2026. A resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract with and issue a purchase order to Pipe Strong LLC for a not to exceed amount of $2,593,750 for the 2026 lead service line replacement project, Phase 2.
Clerk Stenzel, I'd like to pull that off the consent agenda. We'll talk about that in a moment.
An ordinance amending Title 3, Chapter 9 of the Village Code relating to tree removal. A resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the village manager to enter into various purchase orders for fiscal year 2026. A resolution to amend the transition facilitation incentive policy. And a resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement and create a purchase order with Burke LLC for gateway improvements on the property at 2720, 2728 South Harlem Avenue in an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Thank you. I have removed item F from the consent agenda. Does anyone have any other items they'd like removed? If not, could I have a motion and a second to approve all items except item F?
So moved.
Motion and second. Clerk Stenzel.
Trustee Marshazga? Aye. Trustee Galagos?
Aye.
Trustee Koss?
Aye.
Trustee Evans? Aye. Trustee Mateo? Aye. Trustee Fitzgerald?
Thank you. Consent agenda is approved. I would like to ask Director Tabb to the podium. The reason I pulled the item F off the agenda is I wanted to provide the community with an update on our lead service line program.
Yep. Thank you, President. So as most of you know, we've talked about this for a while now. We're now entering our, what do we call, Phase 2 of the program. Last year was Phase 1, and altogether between the individual lead service lines in conjunction with the new water main that we installed in the second division, we replaced approximately 400 lead services last year. This year, we're on track to do a minimum of 325, and I wanted to explain kind of the process on how we go about identifying services. When we began, we took a look at the entire village holistically, and there are water mains in town that were installed over the last 30 years that have copper going from the water main to the B-box already in place. And by doing those first, we avoid street openings because we're not necessarily running new service to the main that is typically located in the road. So we pick it up in the parkway, we dig a hole in the parkway, we bore it into the house underground. There's no trenching of front yards, and we bring it all the way to the meter, and that is it's a fraction of the cost than it would be to go from the main to the house, so we can do more services with $20.25 and now $26, okay? After this year, we're going to have to start looking at 2025, 2026 were kind of the low-hanging fruit, if you will, of services to identify because half of them are already done as far as the piece of the service. Moving forward in 2027, there's a number of things that we look at to identify where we're going next. We look at the condition of the road, which we have recently done a road survey. We look at the size and condition of the sewers, and we look at the size and the age of the water mains. And then, of course, funding is always critical. We take all these elements, we overlay them, we bring them into our capital budget discussions, which we've just begun. We meet with the village engineer, and we identify the blocks where we can hit all of those at one time without having to open up the road multiple times within the budget that we have allocated. So the variable out of all of that, because the sewer, the water main doesn't necessarily change, the road condition does change. This year we've experienced a lot of potholes in town. So some of the roads that we had originally identified for 2027 may change because we had a pretty severe freeze-thaw cycle this winter, which causes the asphalt to spall and unravel basically, and we get a lot of potholes. So we take that into consideration, and those dollars that we originally spent for roadways, if we are going to then in turn do water mains and service lines that are associated with them, we have to put patches and road over those projects. So sometimes we have to take from one to cover the cost of the other. So there's a lot of variables that go into play. Once we have these capital budget discussions, we identify the blocks that we're going to be addressing. We then, of course, we put it into the budget. I work with a vet to make sure we have enough money, and then we put it forth for the board to approve in early December. Once that's approved, we install it on our capital improvement map, and that's put on our website so everyone has an idea of where we're going next. So it's not as easy as just picking and choosing. There's a lot of work and data that goes into it to determine where we go next. 2027 and beyond is where we're going to have to start do those long runs, we call them, from the water main all the way into the house. So a little thought has to be put into that. If that kind of helps you out.
Yes. Any questions for Director Tabb?
So some residents were asking about the process, which is why I asked President Pollock about having an update done. So if somebody doesn't want to download the agenda and look for their address, all the addresses that are going to be done or planned to be done this summer have already been determined. Those homeowners will be contacted if they haven't been contacted already, correct?
They will. I want to add one thing. The item on the agenda tonight is predicated on us receiving funding from the state as part of a zero-interest loan that we received one last year. We have applied for and anticipate receiving one this year. It's $4 million. And then, in subsequent years, we're going to be doing the same. That $4 million is actually a capped amount by the state. We couldn't ask for more if we wanted to. We anticipate receiving that notice here shortly. And then once we do receive that, we will actually probably put a list of addresses out that are available to people should they, choose to see when if they're going to be on the list for this year. And then we would do that in subsequent years as we receive funding.
Thank you.
Also want to throw other thing in there. Back in January of 2022, the initial law that was put out by the state of Illinois said we had a predetermined number of years based on the number of lead service lines we had. And ours was 17. That was our magic number, starting in 2027. That's the year that everyone has to have a final plan in place on how to replace their lead service lines. So we're well ahead of the game. We've already replaced, 450 because we did 50 on Shenstone the previous year. And we have, we don't even have to have our plan really in place until April of next year. But we've had it submitted to the IEPA years ago. Since then, the Fed has come out and said, we would like all of the lead service lines replaced in 10 years, starting in 2027. So that puts us at 2037. Now, if we continue the track that we're on, we will be well within that timeline should we continue to receive our loans from the state. I just wanted to throw it out there, basically to point out we're ahead of schedule. We're not going to necessarily miss that mark. Any other questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract with and issue a purchase order to Pipestrong LLC for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,593,750 for the 2026 lead service line replacement project, Phase 2.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Clerk Stenzel.
Trustee Maravka? Aye. Trustee Gallagher?
Aye.
Trustee Cost? Aye. Trustee Evans?
Aye.
Trustee Mateo?
Aye.
Trustee Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Motion approved. Department, board, and commission reports. Do we have any reports this evening? We have none. Pending business, an ordinance amending Section 7414 of the Village Code relating to outdoor eating cafes. Director Siren.
Thank you. The ordinance before you reflects the board's direction on April 17th and prior meetings. Regarding economic assistance, on May 13th, the Economic Development Commission supported the board's recommendation to make grants available to help restaurants bring non-conforming outdoor dining areas into compliance with the new standards. Businesses in the business districts on Harlem Avenue can request grants through those business districts. And as a note, those grants are funded by sales tax generated in those districts. At an upcoming board meeting, staff will present a resolution to expand the CBD's facade improvement grant program to include improvements to nonconforming outdoor dining areas as eligible projects. During the discussion of the 2027 budget, staff will recommend a budget for the program that considers potential requests for improvements to those nonconforming dining areas. If approved, the ordinance will be effective immediately. However, nonconforming dining areas will have until December 31st, 2027 to become compliant. Staff will notify restaurants with outdoor dining areas that are nonconforming of the new standards, explain options for achieving compliance, and provide guidance to assist them in becoming compliant prior to the deadline. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but the only action requested of you tonight is to vote on the proposed ordinance.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Siren? As we've discussed this at several meetings before, I believe the ordinance is consistent with the direction provided by the village board at previous meetings. Is there any public comments on this item? Seeing none, if there's no further discussion or questions from the board, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the ordinance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Clerk Stenzel.
Trustee Maravka? Aye. Trustee Gallagher?
Aye.
Trustee Cost? Aye. Trustee Evans?
Aye.
Trustee Mateo?
Aye.
Trustee Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Ordinance is approved. Thank you. New business, a resolution adopting the Village of Riverside Nighttime Light Environment Report. Clerk Stenzel.
Thank you. The village entered into agreement with Ken Walczak to conduct an assessment on the village's lighting and to advise on dark sky community designation application. The primary objective of the Village of Riverside Nighttime Light Environment Report, prepared by Walczak, is to assess the current lighting inventory and its effects on the village. The secondary goal is to leverage these findings to implement actions that will move the village closer to compliance with responsible outdoor lighting standards and the intent to apply for a dark sky community designation. Achieving this designation and carrying out the related actions would align with the village board's strategic commitment to promoting environmental sustainability and enhancing climate resilience. Ken Walczak is here to give a brief presentation on his findings and to answer any questions about the report.
Well, thank you, board, for having me, and I'm very happy to give you just a brief overview of the report and some of the bullet points to take away, and then answer any questions. Yeah, it's a little bright in here, but one of the things I did was took a look assessing where all the light emissions from your town comes from, because your environment, I can say I have not spent much time previous to this in the village of Riverside at night, and I have fully impressed, by the way. You have something very special here as a community. I can say from doing assessments and helping people out all around the region and other areas, this is a unique community when it comes to the nighttime environment and what you've done to maintain it. But like any environmental issue, you definitely have to keep your eyes open and make sure that you're maintaining it. And hopefully with my report, that'll help lead you to actually informed decisions and actually very effective and efficient decisions. So what you're seeing here is actually a radiance that's coming up from Riverside at night, seen from a satellite. And that is all of the light you're seeing. This is all aggregated over years of observations, so it's averaged out. And then I split them up by what type of land use is actually emitting that light. And they're in order, by the way, residential being the largest emitter in your community. This is very typical, by the way, because residential properties take most of a land in a community. Then you can see roads, municipal lighting, municipal owned lands and buildings, tax exempt commercial, and multifamily residential, which was very low. So we can go to the next slide. And I think you all received the report. I'm not going to go into all the details. I just kind of want to bullet point some of the things that you have that are an advantage, and also some of the maybe challenges or places that you can do some very positive work toward maintaining and even improving the nighttime environment of Riverside. Some of those interesting takeaways was that out of over 3,000 parcels of land, only 37 of them, the top 37 emitters, accounted for 50% of all the light emission that we're seeing from the village. This is important because, especially upward light emission, you might not notice it from the ground sometimes if it's shining straight up, but that's a very important ecological impactor when it comes to, for example, migratory birds, pollinators, things like that. It's also a very strong indicator of wasted light, wasted energy in a sense. So that's an ecological and environmental impact right there. And also, I think one of the most interesting things about that takeaway with the small amount of properties being the prime emitters is that it leads to the possibility of just having a very tailored, specific changes that could make a very large impact on the quality of the light at night here. I'm not going to go through all the details because we're going to go into some of the final recommendations I had, if you want to go to recommendation number 1. Now, this is all these steps, by the way, are, first of all, these 3 recommendations are I would recommend to any community that wanted to seek a good environment at night and also maintain a healthy and ecologically sound environment at night. But I know that your village is interested in possibly seeking dark sky community status. Now, to date, I do believe it might be 67 communities around the world have actually achieved this designation. So it's a very rare and unique, and I think something to be proud of if you can actually attain it. And these 3 recommendations are not only benefits to your community, but they would also be exactly the steps you'd need to take to reach that potential designation. Number 1 being just applying dark sky principles. There are a simple 5 steps to responsible outdoor lighting, which are documented in the report. I think you as a community are actually pretty close to a lot of those. There are some of those exceptions, but maybe if they're codified into ordinances or something like that, that could actually tighten up the environment that you have already. Number 2 is that leads to number 2 is creating some sort of codified way to make sure that there's no drift in a sense where your lighting in the community is maybe getting out of hand and things like that. I am impressed, like I said, by what I kind of considered a social compact when it came to especially the residential lighting in town. There are very few outliers, and it seems like there's a shared understanding that this is something that's unique and valuable about Riverside. And finally, one of the most important parts, I think, is community buy-in, community understanding of the importance of this entire effort and why it is good. So that would kind of require some education outreach, some information, and some community engagement. So if we go to the next slide, this is just the graphic that describes those 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting. Once again, I'm not going to go to the details, but it's already laid out there. And like I said, I think on the whole, most of your community is kind of following these. But if we go to the second one, so this is where there are some examples of lighting in town, which I think is unfitting to a lot of the rest of the feeling of what you've built here, especially at night. I'm going to just give you 2 of the examples that, like I said, I would recommend if you could codify those into ordinances, that would be a really strong motion toward dark sky community status as well as just improving your community. So I was giving 2 examples here: unshielded wall packs, which are lighting that is mounted on a wall, just shining straight outward. Ironically, those are very helpful. They're inefficient, they're ineffective, and they're a poor waste of light, and they really do not do the job. Ironically, a great example of the difference is at your Pine Street fire station, which has one of the ones that is not really beneficial to what it should be doing, right next to the shielded wall pack on the right, which is illuminating exactly what needs to be illuminated. I'm just giving you these as examples of the sort of applications that could really benefit your community. And the other is area lights, high-intensity area lights. There were some examples I've seen in the town, very few though, where they're being implemented wrong. Those are not intended to be tilted upward. They're meant to light what's below it. And when you do tilt them upward, there's one example of a high amount of light trespass that is going into a private residence. And those 2 examples, by the way, I do have some bold recommendations in my report because, like I said, I think you have something very valuable here to protect. If, for example, you passed an ordinance that did not allow unshielded wall packs in your community, this is something that the IES, I'm a member of the IES, Illuminating Engineering Society, has some of the folks these are lighting engineers, lighting professionals. There has been a lot of discussion that they do want to eliminate that literally as a product, because illuminating engineers even understand why they are not effective. They're actually causing more harm than good. If you were a community that said, you know what, this is a style of lighting we don't want to allow in our community, there are alternatives. I would actually help and also maybe even get IES support in this being a model for the nation in a sense. Finally, this is where those final recommendations come in, and I gave some examples of what sort of community engagement, public outreach, and public buy-in could look like. Everything from maybe trade-in and incentive programs. Town of Wilmette recently, not Wilmette, I'm sorry, it was Wheaton. Recently had a pilot program like this. There are other examples of maybe even village awards or recognitions of good use of lighting as a model. I would really recommend convening community meetings, community feedback opportunities facilitated by the community that, you don't want to just impose something on something. You want a lot of agreement on this. So I think, once again, I think the main takeaway is that you're so far on the road to what would be a really amazing accomplishment to being one of the few dark sky communities in the world. So, and I think you're ready to move on. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to.
Any questions? Yes, Trustee Evans.
Did you say the IES would support like a ban on wall packs?
I believe I know some of the members of the IES are on some of the technical committees who are talking about this. I haven't talked to them personally about it, but I have talked to them about the idea before, like the idea of actually having community do it, I can actually, if there was interest, I will talk to those people and see if that would be something they'd support. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, Trustee Mateo.
More of a comment. Thank you, Trustee Evans, for bringing this to the board and to the village. This is a great report. It's very thorough, lots of data, which I love. For those who haven't had a chance to read it yet, what I would say is it's not a one-size-fits-all suggestion. It's smart lighting, which can take many different forms, and we'll talk about that as we pursue ordinance development and whatnot. But one thing I want to emphasize that the report emphasizes is in no way does this decrease safety, and in many cases, changing of illumination will enhance safety for everybody. So I think that was a very good take home from the report.
Yeah, I do try to lay out why it's not just a blanket like security issue that lighting is going to equal security or safety, and so it's in the report. I think I demonstrate that. If anybody has any follow-up questions later on, because I know it is always something that's going to be top of mind for a lot of towns where they would want to make sure they're not imposing any risk, but I can help answer any of those questions. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback on what you just said about the safety, some of us got a chance to walk around with you, and we actually realized that some of the lighting, some of the bright lighting and the wall packs and stuff like that actually created unsafe. Like you couldn't see if somebody was hiding behind, a door or, and there were actually, it was very interesting to quote Trustee Mateo, is very illuminating to see how some of the lights actually created safety hazards as opposed to getting rid of safety hazards. So I just want to encourage people to really take a look at the report, because I found that interesting, and I learned a lot, by not only looking at the report, but then working with you as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Any public comments on this item? There are none. Then I guess I would ask for a motion and a second to approve a resolution adopting the Village of Riverside Nighttime Light Environment Report.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion is Clerk Stenzel.
Trustee Marshaska?
Aye.
Trustee Gallagher?
Aye.
Trustee Cost?
Aye.
Trustee Evans? Trustee Mateo?
Aye.
Trustee Fitzgerald?
The resolution is approved, and I'll echo Trustee Mateo's thanks to Trustee Evans, who's been heavily involved in this project and leading us on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walczak. Next, discussion relating to electric aggregation renewal. Clerk Stenzel.
Thank you. So this is the preliminary discussion prior to the June 4th meeting in which the village board would need to make a decision regarding the electric aggregation program. For background, in 2012, Riverside residents approved a referendum authorizing the village to operate an opt-out municipal aggregation program for residents and small businesses. This program allows the village to aggregate the electrical load of all residents and negotiate a fixed rate. Last June, the board approved a 12-month, 100% green aggregation contract with MC Squared Energy Services at a rate of 10.9 cents per kilowatt hour. This was the least expensive 100% green energy option. Currently, of the eligible residents and small businesses, 13% have opted out, meaning that 87% of eligible accounts are participating. June 4th, the board's going to have two different options for consideration, and within those options is kind of a further breakdown of choices. So option one, the village board can continue with the fixed rate indicative offer. We won't have competitive bids until next meeting. Within this option, there's a choice of supplier, terms, and percent of green energy aggregation. The village typically requests terms of 12, 24, and 36 months, and the suppliers will be dependent on those months based off of what they offer, and rates for traditional power in addition to rates for 50% and 100% green energy. Before I move on to option 2, I wanted to show this chart really quickly that shows last year the program that we were enrolled in. So that's going to be this first green straight line here. And this is currently for this year, as well as the ComEd brown rate throughout. So last year, it was very close. It pretty much ended up breaking even. This year, we're seeing up through May, I think $1.25 per month overage for Riverside residents. I think I spoke about this at the last meeting that we saw that huge spike in May, but we were going to see it go back down with the ComEd rate, the brown rate coming just a little bit below the 100% green energy rate. So going to option 2, that's going to have a choice of the Midwest generated green energy. We have a 10 to 15% energy for that, or a civic grant for unrestricted use. For the civic grant program, this would enable funds that could be directed for local green initiatives. Some examples could be funding municipal lighting improvements, would be aligned with dark sky goals. Funding new or expanded native plantings or pollinator gardens and maintenance, that could be with our Bee City. Evaluating and updating the economic incentive grant to include more sustainability initiatives. The grant currently does include upgrades for energy efficiency, and that would be in line with the Climate Action Resilience Plan and the Energy Action Plan. We do have Sharon Durling here. She's president and CEO of Illinois Aggregation Consultants. She can go over anything I missed and help with any questions.
Didn't miss anything. Should a question arise, we don't really have changes in the market or new products to offer, so that's exactly what we're looking at. Questions?
Trustees, questions, comments? What action are you looking for from the board at this tonight?
There's no action
No
this
action.
evening. What will happen is at the next board meeting, we will have the bids and you will have to vote on it that evening. So basically what happens is Sharon gets the bids pretty much that day, and within 24 hours, the board has to vote and we have to execute an agreement and get the agreement over to her so she can get it over to the supplier. And then begins the process of our annual, it's not annual, our aggregation process. I will say on behalf of staff, if we can secure something that is a multi-year, that would be preferred, just because there are a lot of calls and work that go into a new aggregation agreement. And so sometimes there's confusion, as well as individuals trying to confuse residents that they're our aggregation program and things of that sort. And Sharon and her team do a great job of explaining all those different questions, as does our team, but it just, I think, would be easier on a resident as well as village staff if we were able to secure it multi-year, if obviously the rates show that should be done.
And multi-year works best with the second option, were you to go that way. And you're correct that it would, fewer questions, so. Trustee?
Quickly highlight what some factors impacting the ComEd variable rate are?
Yes, that spike that we saw last month, I think Riverside Homes had the lowest ComEd bills of anyone in northern Illinois, just relatively speaking, because although there was a spike up, there was also a credit for all other ratepayers, including all of you. So you had the lower rate plus the credit, so it's kind of a double down advantage for, It happens at the end of the energy year. The energy year is June 1 of one year to May 31 of the following. Used to be, Trustee Marshall-Oska, that you'd see a little more of that variance throughout the year, but since the governor passed now I'm not going to remember the act, in September of 21, the cap has been taken away. So you're going to see from here on out in May of each year probably a big spike. We saw it the last 2 years, but it was only 2 cents, which was wild at the time. This time it was 8 cents, and it kind of was crazy as you see that spike. You could expect that every year. It could go the other way, but it's an annual true-up. So truing up, supply, demand, we don't know.
Thank you.
But it was exciting for me. No one else much cares, but I liked that. Thanks for showing interest in that factoid.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, we will see you back in
Yes.
2 weeks.
Thank you, President.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, new question comes up, shoot them our way.
Next is a resolution regarding regulation and zoning of utilities. Director Siren.
Thank you. Before you is a resolution directing the Planning and Zoning Commission to evaluate and recommend zoning classifications for utilities. The focus will be on utilities that are the primary use of the property, not on utilities that support an existing use on the property. So electrical lines that go to your house would not be under consideration. It would be something like a substation on a property. The purpose of the review is to ensure utility uses in the village are located in appropriate zoning districts and meet specified standards such as setbacks and screening. The PZC will also review the appropriate zoning standards for emerging utility uses, including data centers. Assuming the village board supports this direction, the Planning and Zoning Commission will discuss zoning classifications and regulations at a meeting this summer, and staff will present the commission's recommendations to the village board before the amendments are considered at a public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but the only action requested tonight is to vote on the resolution.
Any questions? Any public comments? None? Would any discussion? Someone like to make a motion to approve the resolution? Motion and a second, please.
Second.
Clerk Stenzel, please call the roll.
Trustee Marshallska? Trustee Galagos?
Aye.
Trustee Koss.
Aye.
Trustee Evans? Trustee Mateo? Trustee Fitzgerald?
Thank you. Resolution is approved. The board does have a need for an executive session this evening to discuss the setting of a price for sale or lease of village property and to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or legal counsel. The board will not reconvene and no final action will take place. I would ask for a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Clerk Stenzel, call the roll, please.
Trustee Marshallska? Trustee Galagos?
Aye.
Trustee Koss. Trustee Evans? Trustee Mateo? Trustee Fitzgerald?
We are adjourned.
If you